Last time on Day of Days.
You stabbed him. You stabbed Dr. King.
Go to your friend.
Well, look at God. Dr. Howard Thurman in the flesh.
Well, you have a blizzard of supporters out there, Martin.
So you're old friends.
Yeah.
Dr. Thurman knows all the family business.
We go a ways back.
Then tell this man to stay off that phone and get his rest.
The work has to get done, Howard.
By you right now.
Yes, I don't love it, but right now I'm the face of this movement.
Uncle King is Uncle Tom.
I'm scared I am losing myself.
This man could do so much. But this thing, this movement, it's gonna eat him alive.
Yet another telegram for you, Dr. King.
Sorry, Irma, I know it's a bother.
Still here, Mr. Thurman?
Still.
What's a couple of hours between old friends?
Good Lord, Mike, this whole corner is nothing but cards and letters.
Postman says they brought in almost 2,000 pieces of mail to him.
Could you open the window?
Mm-hmm. Those people are still out there.
There's even more than when I came in.
Offering to donate blood for him. We've had crowds outside almost the entire time.
You probably don't want to hear all that. Maybe turn on the radio.
Police in Birmingham, Alabama still have no leads on suspects for the bombing of Bethel Baptist Church, where bus boycott leader Fred Shuttlesworth is pastor.
Isn't one of these
Still
telegrams
unsolved
from
bombing
him?
is a reminder of the increasing stakes for civil rights activists in the American
Such
South.
evil in the
Their
world.
movement continues to meet hostile challenges, including a similar incident 2 years ago at the home of Martin Luther King Jr.
Dr. King, look at what they did to your house.
Be calm, as my family and I are. We are not hurt. And remember that if anything happens to me, there will be others to take my place.
The investigation into the bombing's circumstances continue, while police still remain at a loss for leads.
Turn the radio
In
off.
other news, tensions
Just a
continue
minute,
to
I was
flare in
listening.
Little
I said turn it
Rock,
off.
and school officials refuse.
Martin, you're sweating.
I'm fine. Irma, I'm sorry. It's not like me to.
It sure isn't.
Martin.
Would they just shut up?
Dr. King,
I just want to breathe.
lay back a moment.
What's wrong?
As a reminder of the increasing stakes for civil rights activists
Feel my hand, Mike. Focus on my flesh.
to meet hostile challenges.
Breathe. Feel my hand in yours. It's warm. Think about the lines in my palm. Think about them crossing the lines in yours. Just breathe. Yeah, that's it. Martin, are you here?
I'm fine.
You had a pulse of 135. That's not fine for a 29-year-old who is supposed to just be laying in the bed.
Listen, Irma, I just needed a pause.
Mr. Thurman, can I see you outside for a moment?
Yes, of course.
What exactly did you do to him in there?
A simple meditation is all. He was losing himself. I had to bring him back in touch with his body.
Well, I need you to teach me whatever that was. He cannot afford too many more episodes like that. And I'm telling you this, Dr. Thurman, as a medical professional with over 20 years' experience.
Should you be telling me this?
Sir, other than that man's wife, you are the only person who's been coming to visit him that hasn't been demanding things from him. Maybe that means he'll actually listen to you. Please, help me get him to rest.
I understand.
Irma, Dr. Thurman, I'd appreciate it if we kept all this to ourselves. I just need to not let myself get so overwhelmed.
Well, on that, we can agree. And if I'm gonna keep your confidences, why don't we dispense with the Dr. Thurman? Call me Howard.
Well, just don't tell Daddy.
It's a deal. Now, all these calls and telegrams, all this violence, do you have some place you could get away from all this?
You can't get away from your calling, Howard. These calls, the organizing, it's my work. It's my purpose.
Yeah, well, you know, there have been times in my life when to do my work, I had to go away from the work.
A vacation wouldn't work right now.
Who said anything about a vacation? I spent over 10 years of my life at Howard University running Rankin Chapel, teaching, advising, preaching, being a voice of conscience, meeting political leaders. And I lost sense of me. What my little self needed, I had to get out.
Sending Howard off tonight to a quaint church in San Francisco is a woman for whom no introduction could do justice. First Lady of the United States, Eleanor Roosevelt.
It's a rare and yet difficult pleasure to be asked to speak about the work of Howard Thurman. We are losing one of the sharpest critics and supporters of the New Deal when Howard leaves us for the wilds of San Francisco. But for now...
If only she knew we were walking away for the princely sum of $200 per month.
Darling, we are about to embark on an adventure.
Yes. And now, some words from Mr. Thurman himself.
Thank you. Thank you very much. My move to San Francisco no doubt seems like the height of insanity to some of you. Sue was against it at first. It's likely hard to see why I'm leaving a center of political power where I've invested no small amount of time and effort. Now, it may look like a retreat to you. Perhaps it is. Mrs. Roosevelt calls it the wilds. Consider, though, beloveds, my dream of a socially integrated world. Envision a community of love bonding all races, creeds, and cultures. Perhaps it takes a strategic retreat and insane getting away to make it possible to achieve my unique and insane ends.
And off you went to a place where you didn't know a single soul.
When I first told Sue, she looked at me like I told her to join me in Eastern Siberia.
Shoot, there are probably the same number of Negroes there.
No, on the contrary, Irma. Black folks have been trooping out there by the thousands ever since the war.
Well, excuse me then.
Now, I was on a very clear path at Howard University, a secure position, but it just didn't feel right.
So you left that path.
Absolutely. People will tell you where they think the center is, where they think the heartbeat of a movement or revolution should be. But the ivory tower Washington politics were in my way. San Francisco? That was a chance to try something new and unorthodox.
It seems to me they are both big cities, Mr. Thurman.
Well,
What could you do out in San Francisco that you couldn't do in D.C.?
Well, a lot, Irma. Wait a minute now. There are times when you know something is speaking to you about a patient, and it's not something you can really figure out with that stethoscope. A voice inside you that says, wait now, Irma. Listen, Irma. Look closer, Irma.
Well, yeah, sure, but I don't see how that answers my question.
Well, I think we all have that voice in us that steadies our hand, that whispers to us when we are walking in our calling. I have been chasing that voice from continent to continent my entire life. And I had to blow open my tiny little world to do it.
The small voice, I understand, but chasing it over continents?
No, I think we need to follow wherever it leads. Back in '36, I was in South Asia. My wife and I hiked up to the Khyber Pass.
Howard! Howard, love!
The Khyber Pass.
It's high up in the mountains between Pakistan and Afghanistan.
Howard! Hold on!
Howard, what are you doing out here? We're all looking for you.
Slow, quiet a moment. Listen.
But we're behind schedule.
Close your eyes. Just listen.
Howard, why are you just staring at camels?
Shh. Do you hear them, Sue? They're on a train, just like the camel trains that year after year, century after century, brought silks and spices and men through this same pass. That narrow road down there, that tiny pass, bringing all those people with their different tongues and their different hues into closeness, into intimacy in the middle of nature. That's how we've always been meant to live. Colliding, connecting, moving in a river of differences together, and yet somehow accomplishing great things.
What was happening up there?
God spoke to me. High along the ancient Khyber Pass, spoke through sights and sounds that helped me travel through time and space. It became the blueprint for the new church I wanted to build.
Listen, I believe you when you say that changed you. But I lost touch with the church years ago. For me, a calling is... I get a call on when they buzz me every time some boy comes in on a stretcher gushing with blood from a stab wound.
We're closer than you might think, Irma. Both our callings are about humanity, flesh, skin, and bone.
Forgive me, but it seems to me that most preachers I know, they don't think about flesh and bone at all. They're too busy worried about dividing sheep and goats and whatever all you all say.
Well, yeah, and I agree.
Tell her, Howard.
Christians care about divisions and barriers too much. Our faith has got to cut across racial barriers.
And that's what you saw on Khyber Pass.
Exactly that.
But you didn't have to go to Asia to understand all that.
I most certainly did. No, I had to confront how people viewed the source of Christianity, Christ himself.
And how well did that go over?
Well, on that same trip, I was giving a lecture. It was at a law club, hungry to know about American civics. And this is the political question facing American Negroes. What force exists in the world that will bring our oppressors' souls to their very knees? We cannot any longer wait and rely on governments and principalities to discover a political consciousness that sees us as human. No, never that, when entire economies, whole governments are built on our subjugation. It is in the example of Jesus Christ that we know this. I finished the speech. I'm barely swallowing down some water before this impeccably dressed, angular man strides up to me.
That was an interesting collection of arguments, Mr. Thurman.
Oh, hello, sir. And you are?
I'm Rohan Sen.
Oh, you're the law professor I was told about. I've been so wanting to meet you and talk about your work during the Salt March.
Respectfully, sir, if you know of the Salt March and all the bloodshed that entailed, how could you deliver that absurd speech?
Surely an architect of the Salt March doesn't find liberation absurd.
Correct. Correct, however. What is absurd is a man with this much knowledge and such keen intellect coming here to be a white man's dupe. An absurdity I cannot comprehend.
A dupe?
Sir, 300 years of chattel slavery experienced by your people. Slavery enforced by Christians. Christians who bend open their Bibles and use them as proof that you and every other Negro should be untouchables in the very nation you helped build.
Well,
a nation that burns and lynches you. And you know this. You know this, sir. I have studied you. You have lived these facts. And yet you deign to come here and tell us that freedom is to be found in that same Bible? You can't be serious.
You take me as a tool of white Christianity, Mr. Sin.
Isn't that why you Christians go on missions and pilgrimages? A chance to convert the other little brown brothers?
Mr. Sin, you misunderstand me deeply. I'm not here as an evangelist.
Then what are you doing here?
You say you've studied me, then you know I grew up in Florida. And then you know I come from a state so deadly for American Negroes that my people have been emptying out of the place in great waves for nearly 3 decades now. I know what it looks like when whole towns are reduced to ashes because the black citizens inside have gall enough to believe they are whole humans.
And yet you preach the same faith of the people who lit the fires.
Mr. Sin, I don't profess Christianity. I preach the faith of Jesus, a poor carpenter's son who became a revolutionary with ideas not so unlike your Mr. Gandhi's.
Is a follower of Jesus ready to completely remake society? Forgive me, sir. I have my doubts.
Good God, that man absolutely told you about yourself.
You could say that.
Nurse Rhodes, could I see you for a moment at the nurse's station?
Well, gentlemen, duty calls.
I'm worried, Howard.
About what?
About how much I agree with that man.
With Rohan?
Yes.
Oh, good, you should.
But if he's right, you and I are just hypocrites and fools.
Worse than that, if he's right, we're tools of oppression.
And that's what you think?
I think, Mike, that it was important for me to see what people thought of me. In the starkest, ugliest light. Or else I cannot fully comprehend myself.
Like Isola sees me.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do when someone holds up such an ugly mirror in front of your face?
Sometimes you back up. You retreat. That's what I did, so I could figure out what the answer is to Rohan's vision of me.
Where did you retreat to?
Well, maybe your father told you about my day trip to an ashram in the Indian countryside.
The day you met the Mahatma.
And when I say retreat, I mean retreat, Mike. This ashram was in the middle of nowhere. Sue and I get up at dawn, get picked up in this beat-up old Model T and ride out for 20 miles. 20 miles of bumpy, dusty road that's like something out of your Georgian Red Hills.
I just know you felt like you were in hot cotton.
We didn't know what we were in. We get to this compound with a tent, and out comes this narrow man in a loincloth.
Mahatma, it is a pleasure to meet you.
Friends, the pleasure is mine.
Mike, this was a world unto itself. He's out here living apart from society. Praying and fasting, sure, but also the man was spending hours just spinning cotton.
Why?
Because people were hungry and selling the cloth could make money to feed people. He knew they couldn't think about political change if their bellies were empty. Being out there gave him clarity about human needs and how he could meet them.
Come, sit. I have heard about your lecture, Mr. Thurman, your sermons. I have so many questions.
He'd been living in nothing more than a glorified tent.
And Mrs. Thurman, your eloquence and power at the lectern has reached my ears as well.
You do me a great honor there, sir.
From nowhere, the Mahatma pulls out a thick pocket watch.
I want to know so much. Your thoughts on voting rights, your church, education. But my time is so terribly short, so you must start. Why did you come to visit me?
Mahatma, if you were to make a pilgrimage to America, it could ignite an entire movement.
Your words and ideas could spark an awakening for our people. We want you not for white America, but for the Negroes. We have many a problem that cries out for solutions, and we need you badly.
How I wish I could. But I have to make good the message of nonviolence here before I bring it to you.
But that's just it. That message could transform our entire nation.
Perhaps you're already thinking too small, Howard Sahib.
Well, what do you mean?
It could be through the Afro-American that the unadulterated message of a non-violence would be delivered to all men everywhere. Make your own message and revolution, Howard, for your own place and people. Then perhaps the rest of us everywhere will follow.
And so he never came?
No, he didn't. But that's not the point. Khyber Pass, Rohan Sen, Gandhi, they made me rethink what I could do, what my path was in this world. I had to throw out the way I was talking about faith and freedom, set my sights on a movement that wasn't selfish or narrow, but pulled together all manner of folks who'd felt left behind.
All that from India.
All that from finding a new center.
And you think my attacks demand a new center?
I think your destiny demands it. Didn't that story about Rohan Sen ring a bell, Martin?
Maybe.
Well, here. Open your copy of Jesus and the Disinherited to page 10.
I am a Hindu. I do not understand. Here you are in my country, standing deep within the Christian faith. Sir, I think you are a traitor to all the darker peoples of the earth. I am wondering what you can say in defense of your position. Can't believe I forgot about this passage. This is Rohan Sen.
His challenge pushed me to do some of the scariest, most naked writing I've ever done.
But see, that's what we need. We can't keep doing God, church, faith like we've been doing. Isn't that what India showed you?
Yes.
Change is risk, right? It's dangerous.
Mahatma thought so.
And he was right, Howard. Why is it so hard for Negroes here to see that?
Well, there's some particular Negroes you're thinking of?
He was one of your students.
Oh, your daddy.
That's enough, Martin. They bombed your house. Now, I'm not hearing another word about it.
Daddy, the folks in Montgomery need me.
Martin, I'm not going back and forth with you on this.
Sir, I have to go where I am needed.
Where you are needed is in a pulpit preaching the unadulterated word of God, not ending up in a jail cell.
The word of God is useless if all it ever does is sit up in places like Ebenezer for the good Negroes of Auburn, Atlanta.
Son, who do you think you're talking to?
People are tired of you and me getting in our black robes every Sunday and preaching from on high like we don't know the hell our people are going through every day.
I have never ignored that.
No, you just pretend like it's not our job to fix it.
That's because it isn't.
And that's where you and I part ways.
Do you understand what you are playing with out there? Boy, you aren't in sweet Auburn anymore. This isn't Atlanta. The King name doesn't mean anything out here. It has no purchase. These people will kill you. I'm pleading with you. Do not go back out to Montgomery. Please.
You want me to stay safe, and I love you for that, Daddy, but the way you lead is not going to be our way forward. I'm sorry. But I have to go. Left for Montgomery the next day.
He's right, you know.
About what?
You are flirting with death, Martin.
Maybe.
You okay with that?
We're meant to change how Christians move in America. Maybe flirting with death is the price of change. Wasn't that one of Gandhi's lessons?
Partially.
You sound doubtful.
I don't think it's a price you're ready to pay yet.
You're wrong.
If I was, the dark wouldn't scare you the way it does, Mike. Of that much I am sure.
Oh, I tell you what, Irma, I am so ready for this shift to be done. Did you hear me, Irma?
Oh, yeah. Ready to be done.
Hello, Irma. Where is your mind today?
It's just the things Howard Thurman was saying to Dr. King, the getting away.
Thinking about a vacation?
No, it's something bigger than that. I don't know. I feel trapped sometimes.
Oh, all the syringes, injectors, and thermometers have you locked up now?
No, it's deeper than that. It's Dr. King's stabbing, the violence that keeps flaring up. I feel like we keep catching the tail end of all of it.
Well, that's what we're supposed to do. People get hurt. They're not well. We fix them. That's not a trap. It's a job.
A job stitching up violence that should have never happened in the first place? That sounds like a job that is a trap.
Mama! Mama, where is he? Mama?
Cassandra, girl, what is wrong with you?
It's Ronnie, Mama.
What about Ronnie?
He's here in the emergency room. I just heard
God.
they beat him. The cops beat him.
ER is right upstairs. Come on, I will go with you.
Irma, you can't just...
Look, Estelle. Ronnie is like another child to me. He is Cassandra's best friend. I have got to go.
Day of Days is written by Darren Kennedy. It was created and produced by Michael Epstein of Walking Cinema, with direction, sound design, and original music by Jonathan Mitchell. Starring Billy Eugene Jones as Howard, Jordan Mahome as Martin, and Anya Pearson as Irma. The executive producer is Will Rogers, the producer is Andrew Calloway, and Amanda Brown is the dramaturg. It was recorded at Miratone Studio in New York City by Colin Dworsky. Day of Days was made possible by a grant from the National Endowment for the Humanities to Walking Cinema, an experiential storytelling studio based in San Francisco. For a full list of credits and a special immersive companion piece to Day of Days, go to dayofdayspodcast.com.